country wanted to consign them to the periphery and unapologetically denied them the full expression of their gifts. They refused to remain silent or invisible. Theirs was a daily battle, and unassailable style was a key weapon. When your own country discounts your full humanity, dressing like the queen that you are is an act of reclamation. Depth, purpose, and exquisite, painstaking construction. That is how these warriors for justice and beauty chose their wardrobes and led their lives. I met B. Michael in 1999, just as my mother's brave and remarkable journey was nearing its end. His exquisite creations, with their rigorous architecture and lush linings of paisley chiffon, extravagantly printed silks, and butter-soft satins, met the high bar my mother set. His garments weren't thrown together, a reflection of a passing fashion or momentary whim. They had been carefully developed. Like the women who'd raised me, these clothes had provenance, history, and staying power. Throughout her life, my mother had been dressed by the bold-faced named couturiers of France and America: Jacques Fath, Nina Ricci, Givenchy, Charles James, and Pauline Trigère. Along with her friends, she had also sought out and supported the black designers, fighting against all odds to practice their art, much as she and her fellow performers fought to practice theirs. Arthur McGee, Stephen Burroughs, Fabrice, and Willie Smith. She knew, celebrated, and wore them all. Just as my mother was fading from this life, meeting B gave me hope that this line of geniuses, some of whom had already passed away, victims of the AIDS pandemic, had a worthy successor and heir. B became my go-to designer for everything, from day wear to evening wear. He even saved me from the dreariness of leggings paired with baby on board t-shirts during my pregnancy. At the same time, Aunt Cicely watched over me in the wake of my mother's passing, making certain I knew how much I was loved. In addition to seeing her at events, I'd often run into her on her speed walks through our neighborhood. In those moments, she wasn't put together as Cicely Tyson, award-winning star of stage and screen. She was Cicely, the dedicated, intrepid health fanatic. Sneakers, a sweater, oversized sunglasses, and a hat obscuring her perfectly sculpted face. We'd hug on the corner of Madison Avenue and 79th Street. She'd coo over my baby daughter and beam her perfect 1,000-watt smile. And long before we obsessively measured our daily steps on iPhones, she'd dash on, determined to complete her allotment of miles. She always revered my mother's style, and she applauded the way I embraced my mother's teachings in everything, from the way I raised my daughter to my choice of engraved stationery. She phoned me one day to tell me she'd been invited to Oprah Winfrey's Legends Ball and wanted my recommendation for someone to design her gown. "Who's that talented young man who makes so many of the wonderful things you wear?" she asked. Little did I suspect that an introduction and a dress commission for a single event would turn into an artistic union and friendship for the ages. Looking back, it seems fated. Both Cicely and B elevated personal style to pledges of allegiance to an ideal of timeless elegance, a commitment to excellence, and irrefutable pride. Both have used their lives and gifts to magnify the splendor and dignity of Black women. Over the years, every time I saw Cicely, she would thank me for uniting her with this twin soul and necessary fellow traveler, one who escorted her through the whirlwind of the last 15 years of her epical life and career, his clothing providing the perfect setting to the jewel that was her radiant beauty. B made certain she always shone as magnificent on the outside as she was on the inside. The expression icon of style is, like the word philanthropist, recklessly overused. But in the case of B and Cicely, their spiritual partnership created images that will fire imaginations and kindle